So we are about to chat with Paul, who's actually doing between 25 and 30 grand a month, servicing mainly the construction industry, although he's been all over the place, worked with a bunch of different niches, and actually started off doing a photo video similar to me and my background. But yeah, we have a good little conversation, a good little discussion about basically agency life, sort of different epiphanies, and really just a little bit about his story. So yeah, let's get into it. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another student interview. We are here today with Paul from just outside New York. And yeah, he is working with 8 clients at the moment, bringing around 25 to 30 grand a month. And we're having some interesting conversations off camera. I was like, hold it for the interview because yeah, there's definitely a lot to unpack here. Now, you want to give them a little bit of context as to like your timeline. When you first started your agency, obviously you were very general and broad, and you kind of been cleaning up since then. And like your background is actually in photo video, right?
Yeah, so I started and this is me, I'm 27 years old now, so I really got, since the age of like probably 8 or 9 years old, I've always been like a computer tech nerd. Kind of fast forwarding that, I was doing like general freelance, so like photography, videography, website design. And then kind of there was like a really like a turning point when I kind of figured out, my time versus like results. That ratio was, the thing is I always loved the creative stuff, but kind of the issue with that, like we were talking about before, is like just the constant endless revisions. Really, I just figured out there's got to be a better way to really service clients. So kind of still doing some creative work, really getting away from that though for the most part. And then I was always, the thing was, before I actually found your videos, Iman, so I was always doing kind of some kind of like just general basic like Facebook and Google ads, nothing, just really playing around with the platform, really learning it. And then there was, I forget what video it was, but I think you were actually like sitting by a pool at some villa or something, and you were just, I forgot, like I found one of your videos, and it was like you were just calling out every single like BS thing wrong with the industry, and I'm like, oh wow, I love this guy, he's awesome. Kind of obviously learn more, saw more of your videos, and then yeah, I took a look. So I was a part of Six Figure SMMA at first. Again, I signed up and I didn't really take. I was obviously like playing with it, but I got super serious kind of more recently. And that was actually due to the fact. So I was in between Six Figure SMMA and Agency Incubator. During that time, I actually worked at a 6-figure job. And the position was great, don't get me wrong or anything, but like I kind of asked myself, I'm like, is this really what you want to be doing with your life, just answering to somebody else all the time? Just taking what they say on a, just essentially being like their worker bitch. I was like, there's got to be a better way to do this. So I actually quit that job after Agency Incubator, which was awesome because the biggest thing for me is like I never really had an issue with getting any clients. I was very good like in person meetings and selling, but the thing about Agency Incubator was like just that time freedom I got back. So for instance, like onboarding funnel was like awesome to really implement. Essentially like the value video as well, or like the case study funnel, and then just really, the thing is like really just from the get is just setting up these systems and processes. So there's just zero headache, and you can literally focus on what you're best at, if that's, media buying or selling, and then just putting the people in the correct places to kind of allocate your time. But yeah, so to answer your question, so 6-figure SMMA, I had a job, quit that. And then this is about the time when like Agency Incubator came out. Relearned everything again, because it was the first course was good, the second one was much better though, in my opinion, but both were solid. So
No, I agree.
really implemented yeah because the thing is, the funny thing is I actually thought about making a course, and I'm like, wait a second, let me like actually look this in the face and be like, because like when I went through yours, I was like, there's no blind spots. Like, what the hell am I going to say to be like, I can't genuinely come out with a course at this moment and be like, okay, everybody should go buy this when I know this one's already out and it's just turning out this incredible rate. So I was like, okay, let me if I ever do a course in the future, it's going to be something a little more specific to me. But yeah, I mean, dude, the course is incredible. It's been, I mean, because the thing that I appreciated about it so much was like, there's not just like, oh yeah, this is how you build a business, go have fun. It's like, it just rewires your entire oh, it tells you how to sleep, how to get good nutrition, how to optimize your health with Oura Ring, how to fill in the blank. And I was just like, this is so complete and like just so, what's the word, practical for people that it's just an incredible, I just had great success with it.
Appreciate that. So at the point, so you had your 6-figure job, which is, I'm sure was super scary to let go of. And then you, so then at that point, were you had to basically start again from scratch. So, or did you have clients on the side while you're working in the job, or?
Yeah. So I was working a 6-figure job, and I had, to be honest, like I had enough income at the time to quit my job, but for some reason, I mean, the biggest thing, this is kind of what I was going to talk about as well with the agency incubator stuff and kind of your training, was like, dude, just from like the start, my parents both made 6 figures, did very well. But dude, just their like, I mean, there was like times where money got tight for sure, just due to X, Y, and Z reasons. But, dude, just their beliefs about money was like always just this like very, and I love them to death, don't get me wrong, but like, there's some very fundamental things we disagree on, but just this like scarcity mindset. I literally had to like, because there would be times at the agency where I would like, dude, I'd make all this income and then I'd be like, wait, this sounds crazy, but I'd be like, wow, this is kind of scary. Let me dial it down a little bit. Dude, I would literally like sabotage myself and be like, okay, I would either spend too much on stupid shit. I would, be a little more brash in meetings with clients and not sell as good as I can. And I was like, I had to like rewire my beliefs about money, about building wealth, about, self-identity. And like, dude, when I figured out that piece, that was kind of like in somewhere in the middle, like right before me quitting my job. Cause it was making enough money to pay my bills every single month, just my side clients. I could quit any single time, but dude, I always had that thing in the back of my mind that was like, but yeah, what if it like doesn't work out? I'm like, once I really rewired that part, like, dude, it just like exploded. Like, oh my God, I can't even explain. But yeah, when I really got the self-belief to be like, you know what, we're because the thing is like people, they go into a job, they think that's security, right? But the thing is like, there's no guarantees in this world besides, your skills, your knowledge, and, obviously your value in the marketplace. Once that's dialed in though, like, you're never going to be hungry again, right? So it's like, you can replicate success for multiple companies. As long as you can get results for people, you're going to get paid in the marketplace. Like that's just the fact of it. So, yeah, I mean, it's just been a crazy ride. It's been happening super quickly too. Cause I mean, I was always doing kind of like real estate on the side and everything, but, yeah, I just got to a point of like, I guess you can call it like self-confidence or just self-reassurance of my own skills and abilities to be like, listen, I'm never letting a boss have like power over me like that again. Just thinking they can talk to you whichever way they want to. And yeah, at that point, I just completely went all in for the agency stuff.
That's awesome. And, most of your clients, obviously you start off very general, and then now you're niching down, although you do have, a couple spare clients here and there, but most of your clients are actually in the construction niche, which I find very interesting. Why construction?
So my dad actually was a general contractor, and him and his brother, my uncle Chris, own a company, basically contract work. So general handyman stuff, bathroom renovations, additions to houses, like four season rooms, stuff like that. And I was like, I mean, they got to a point. This is like, I can't remember what year, but they always did relatively well. And then when things in the economy turned a little bit, I was like, okay, let me see how I can help them, right? So I just like, I mean, it was super simple, kind of, hindsight is 2020, like looking back, how to actually run, ads and scale their business. But, just going through the trenches of it, I was like, okay, let me see if I can help them, right? And then I don't know for what reason, I just got very good at, my style was a little different too. So I was running Facebook local lead gen ads, 15-mile radius, starting there, kind of expanding, eccentrically as, the budget and the proof of concept allowed. But, yeah, I don't know. It kind of just like fell into place for me. I don't think I like set out with the intention of, choosing construction. Cause like when I was watching your videos, right, I was like, okay, Iman's doing e-commerce and info products. So there's gotta be something there, right? Like he obviously knows what he's doing, but really, really dissecting the info product space, like, dude, you're taking on a beast in itself. Like just between,
Don't do it. It's the
yeah,
worst.
yeah,
Don't
building
do it. Honestly,
webinars,
don't do it.
yeah, it's just like, oh my God. So I was like, okay, complete respect. Let him dominate that niche. E-commerce was always super fun because I was always, I still stuck with e-commerce just because, just my background in web development, front end and back end, and then plus the photo and video content side of things. I was just very good at quick turnaround stuff for e-commerce. So kind of stuck with that, and then a ton of construction niches, and then our companies in the construction niche rather, but yeah, it kind of just fell into place for me. I don't think there was ever any like specific reason of like, okay, I'm just going to choose construction. I think I just got very good at it pretty quickly, and my main reason was like, okay, let me see how I can help out my father in his company, and now I just I pick obviously companies in different locations, so there's no conflict of interest, but yeah, that's pretty much my experience with that.
I love that. That's awesome. And like, I love that. That's awesome. And like, I think, I had a student interview the other day, and I just think those like clients where it comes from personal experience, where like your dad is a tennis instructor or like a golf instructor, and then you end up servicing like golf clubs around the world, or your dad, like your brother's a chiropractor, and then you help him run ads, and then you end up working exclusively with chiropractor. Like I don't know, I think that like personal experience is like the best thing ever. And also just mixing it up, because like most people get stuck with the same niches, and they just make it too hard on themselves because it's just like hyper competitive, and it's just like most people will go for the same few niches when there's such a diverse range of niches, where there's so much less competition, and also there's so much more a lot higher ticket, because even with a construction niche, like how much can you charge some of your clients?
So it ranges. So when I first started out, I was, essentially doing bare. I mean, it was even below the minimum. So I was starting out with like $500 a month, really. And that was more of like, okay, let me, this is like me just starting out. Okay. I was like, okay, how can I attack this very well? So I was like, okay, let me do it cheap. And I don't recommend that, by the way. Oh my God. But, my whole contention behind that was, I was like, okay, let me get, 3 video testimonials, right? So then every single client after that, I'll go back up to 1.5K. And obviously there's training in agency incubator about, figuring out the lifetime value of a customer, subtracting the cost to acquire the customer, and then you kind of go off your service fee from there. But, right now it ranges anywhere from 1.5K all the way to 8.5K. And that's also the delta in the sizes of the companies as well. I have clients doing multiple 6 figures, before they even signed on with me, and then others all the way up to like 8, and then a couple 9-figure ones actually, in the city. So I'm kind of playing on both spectrums, people essentially with unlimited resources where I can just run a ton of ads, get a ton of data really quick, and then just iterate and improve, see what works. And then kind of more, clients obviously, doing relatively well, but, you got to be a little more thoughtful about how aggressive you want to get with ads and, stuff like that. So.
That's awesome. So you have 8 clients at the moment, and you're still running all the ads yourself.
Yeah. So I'm at the point now of like actually finding a, to be honest, I think I probably could take on 1 or 2 more clients, but it's getting to the point where like, when I get to the point where I like have to back trace in my mind of like, oh wait, what campaign did I set up for this guy? How did I set up this funnel? How did I, whose pixel is this? It's at the point now where it's like, okay, let me let me work on the business, not in it, right? Let me put the right key players in place. And I mean, finding talent's a whole nother, beast in itself. But yeah, I mean, I'm just at the point now where it's like, okay, it makes sense for me to really just focus on sales calls. Find a solid media buyer, find a solid copywriter. Ideally, they have experience in both. And then, I can kind of train them, obviously, with my experience. But yeah, I actually had like 2 interviews the past like 2 weeks. But I think I'm going to move forward with one of them for sure. I mean, I've had multiple interviews and then kind of dialed it down to 2 or 3, and then I'm going to choose one for sure. But yeah, it's the thing I realized too is like with agency and incubator is like, and just in agency in general is like, you kind of, I actually wrote about this on the Facebook post, is like when you get to a point of just like executing every single day on the daily actions, if that's sending out cold looms, if that's sending out, emails, or, whatever your outreach style is, or, even cold calling if you prefer that. But it kind of seems like for a while, there's nothing really going on. And then I can't explain it, but like once you get to this like critical mass point of like building up enough, outreach and just enough discipline, I think is the best word to describe it. It just explodes, right? So like, you're going to be doing all these things, and a lot of people might not see results. I saw results quickly, but I'm very empathetic to the fact that, some people might have, a hard time with it. But if you just like stick to those, daily, just keep grinding at it. Before you know it, your acuity schedule is going to get filled up pretty quickly. So, yeah, it's just awesome seeing, and that's the biggest thing too, right? Because I have this like business like ADD. I used to, at least. I was like, okay, what's this cool business? What's this idea? Let me start an energy drink line. Let me start a clothing line. Let me start, let me do real estate. Let me do Amazon FBA. Let me do dropship. Like all this bullshit, right? But like, you just have to put like with agency incubator to work, guys, like you just have to put the blinders on completely and just dive in. And if you just stick to it, you're definitely going to see results. Like I'd be surprised if you didn't. So, yeah, it's just really cutting out the noise and just going all in and just sticking to it. And then, within a month or 2, you're going to start to see some stuff happen, maybe even sooner, hopefully.
That's awesome. So what does the next 12 months look like for your agency?
12 months. So I actually want to bring on a little bit more e-commerce clients. But I do enjoy a little bit of variation, right? So I do enjoy, obviously construction clients getting larger retainers. But just the way the world is turning, right? So people hate to be inconvenienced, and like even me, and this sounds a little snobby, of course, like whatever, but I'm at the point now where I kind of throw money at convenience. So I have all my meals meal prepped. I don't want to lift a finger if I don't need to, just because just for literally the sole reason of like, I want to focus my time, energy, effort, and just life on things I actually care about, allocate the rest and pay people for it. But just the way the world's turning, like people, if you take a look at Amazon, right, they're doing, $86 million a day plus, but the reason, I think the biggest thing obviously is just the convenience factor. People don't want to go sit in their, get in their car, go drive 45 minutes, sit in traffic, sit in line for another 20, pack up their car, come home. So just the access and the easeability of these platforms is just getting more and more sophisticated every single day. And you're going to, in my opinion, you're going to see a lot of people really start, selling. Just due to the access to information, right? People are curious. They'll hop on YouTube, Google, they'll read books. They'll be like, oh, how do I start a Shopify store? How do I start a website or a company? And I think there's just such an opportunity there. There's always been, but especially lately, it's just, especially due to COVID, and I don't even want to get into that, but people are really learning to become self-sufficient, and learning how to capitalize on the platforms available to them. So the thing is, right, the thing is, they might have the best idea and this is where we come in, right? They might have the best idea, the best product, the best service, but if nobody knows about it, it's like, who cares? And it's like, that's where, agency owners come in, like myself and you and, everybody in the course and, all these other people. It's like, people need that facilitator to help them realize their dreams, right? And you can actually sit down in a meeting and be like, this is what I do, this is how I can help you. and just like dissect their problems and what they need instead of just being super salesy, be like, oh, buy my retainer, I'll help you, scale your business. Like you have to really dissect these people's problems. And if you can, and I mean, the key to selling, right? You take the point A to your point B, you act as a bridge between those two gaps. But if you do that in an ethical way, right, you can sell anybody. It's just and a great book on this is Spin Selling by Neil Rackham. I think he kind of goes into it a little further, but the biggest shift people need to make is like, okay, how can I go from like, how can I make money instead of, and you have to switch that to like, oh, how can I provide value? How can I fix problems? Because that's when the money starts coming in. So when you switch your end goal from money to providing value, service, and just a sense of well-being for people, that's where the money comes from. And I think people need to really, once you make that switch, you can't even look at it differently anymore. It's like seeing color for the first time in regards to sales. So
that's awesome. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming on. That's pretty much wraps it up for the questions on my end. And appreciate you jumping on.
Yeah, man. I have a question for you, actually. I wanted to ask you something. What are your thoughts on FP Journe watches? I know you got a Richard Mille recently. Like, how do you feel about the FP Journe watches? I know it's like its own crazy, like, kind of cult thing, but like, how do you feel about those?
I think they're cool. I think it's they're a brand that hasn't reached the mass appeal. Well, I can't really say that Richard Mille's has reached mass appeal, but like, to me, Richard Mille in terms of brand equity are now in the top 4. I think there are better watchmakers out there. I think JLC, Jaeger LeCoultre, is like, to me, probably the best. Like, I actually think they're better than Patek. But I think FP Journe is kind of like in the same boat as like Jacob & Co. Like, you gotta be like a actual watch fanatic and a little bonkers. I think they're interesting timepieces. If I had a one watch, if I had to just have one watch, it wouldn't be, I would never go for like a Richard Mille. I would never go for like a FP Journe or a Jacob. It have to be something
Snoopy
classic.
Timex.
It would have to be the Snoopy Timex. But I mean, I think they're interesting pieces. I think they're the pieces you get like once you've already got like 10 watches or something like that, because they're
Cool. Yeah, I'm actually looking into a 5711 Nautilus, and dude, the prices right now are just insane. So it's like, if you can actually get these prices, it's not even.
If you can get retail, then yeah, of course, but it's impossible.
That's impossible. So that's close to impossible.
Yeah, I'd say, like, honestly, like I have the Nautilus, and I think it's honestly a piece of shit. I have it because, like, you gotta have a Nautilus, like in my collection, like I gotta have a Nautilus, but like it's such a janky watch. Like it's so because it still uses I forget what it's actually called, but they're basically like pins, and it just feels rattly. And like, get Daytona instead, just a steel Daytona. You'll be better off, and it'll cost you like,
call it a day.
35% as much, 30% as much. So yeah, get a Daytona. Cool. You'll be better off.
Sounds good, man.
All right, awesome.